Hello everybody, welcome back to March on FPL. Today I would like to give you my first draft. It's taken a little while, but I've been doing quite a little bit of tinkering since the start of the game. But yeah, let's just get into it. I'm gonna show you what my team's looking like at the minute and the other options that I'm thinking about at the moment. So in goal, getting straight into it, I've gone for Sanchez of Chelsea. Um, I think they've got really good opening fixtures. And Chelsea, one of the best teams defensively last year. And after the Club World Cup, I think they're really good. Other options that I have been looking at, Nottingham Forest goalkeeper Sells. Really good fixtures to open the season, plus really good data from last year. I think they're the main two I'm looking at the moment. I think the 5.5s out of them would be looking at Raya if I was going to go for one of them. But I think there's good value in the 5 millions this year. Trafford, if he does go to City and gets the starting place, I think everyone will have him in his team if he does get that starting place. Um, but they're the main ones. I don't think there's many 4.5s that people are going to be going for this year, um, just due to the pricing of the teams. Maybe a Kelleher for Brentford, Ariola for West Ham, but that's about it really. On the bench, you can see my bench here. I've gone for Darlow of Leeds. Um, it's 4 million at the minute. He'd be the starting keeper. Leeds hopefully have signed a new keeper for me at least. I'm a Leeds fan. Um, Hopefully they've signed this new goalkeeper Lucas Perry. If he comes in at 4, could be an option. I think he'll come in at 4.5 though, because he will start if Leeds for whatever reason don't get a starting keeper. Darlow will be starting keeper, so he's the reason he's in. The Spurs backup keeper as well could start, but that's just a bit of a filler for the minute. As is Joe Rodon, 4 million defender again for Leeds will start. Goodmanson as well from Leeds is 4 million. So is Beale, however he is suspended for the first game of the season. I'm pretty sure the other newly promoted teams defenders are 4 million. Again, a bit of a placeholder for now. Consa. I think that's a really nice pick at 4.5. I thought he'd come in a bit more expensive, especially the defence contributions being added, maybe coming in at 5.5, but he's coming at 4.5 for an Aston Villa team that are very good and good opening fixtures as well. Not so much in the first one, but I do really like their fixtures in the first 5 or 6 game weeks, so that's the reason I put him in there. And then Evan Nilsson on the bench against Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool's very tricky fixture. But in the first 5 or 6 weeks, he has got good fixtures overall as well as Konsa. So that's the reason I put him in there. And I really like that pick at 7 million for Evan Nilsson. I actually prefer it to most of the 7.5s, I think. I think he has got to step up on the 6.5s, Welbeck and Jackson, Darwin, etc. Definitely going to play on penalties when he's on the pitch as well, which is very nice. Moving on to my defenders then, and as you can see, 3 centre backs. You can see a common theme here with my defenders. One's on the bench as well. I've gone for all centre backs, and that is for the defensive contribution. Wing backs are less likely to get that point, so I do think these points will come in very handy. I've gone for Van Dijk. Best team in the league, Liverpool. Decent fixtures to start the season, but I think Van Dijk is a very good option. It's not a must. I think it's a very good option. You could go for somebody like a Frimpong or a Kirkez instead of him, but I think just stick with what they're trusted. We know he's a threat from set pieces, as is the man I'm about to talk about in a minute. But for the defense contributions, I think it could be okay. Maybe not as good as some of the worse defenses, but I do really like that pick. Gabriel, very good goal threat, as you'll know from previous years. Um, Not always 100% available, which is a bit of a concern. He does get injured quite a bit, so something to think about there. Maybe go for a Saliba instead, but I do like Gabriel for the goal threat that he's going to have in the opening fixtures. I do like Arsenal's opening fixtures as well. Arsenal playing Man United in the first one, and then Leeds in the second one. I think they're two very good opening fixtures for them. And then Van de Ven for Tottenham, very, very good fixtures. It's a massive fixtures one. I think Tottenham are going to get better this year. I think they have to get better this year. So that's the reason I've gone for Van de Ven, 4.5 million defender. Not sure if he's nailed. If he's not, obviously I'll change it around. But I like that pick for now. Other players I've thought about, Mark Guehi, Crystal Palace, he's 4.5 million. Um, Again, good defence. He's a centre back. He could be okay for defensive contributions. Cucurella I really, really like. Um, Potentially instead of a Gabriel. Chelsea's opening fixtures are really, really good. And we saw on the back end of last year how attacking he was and how many goals he was scoring, which I thought was really, really good. And yeah, Chelsea defence looked very, very good this year, and I think they could have a very good season. Apart from that, I think they're the main ones I'm thinking about. So let's move straight into the midfielders. Start with the main man, Mo Salah, has to be in your team. He's got the captain armband for me. I think he's an absolutely incredible, incredible pick. Even though he is 14.5 million, he has to be in your team. He has to be your captain. I think you're very ballsy to go without him. Um, so yeah, he's in my team. Morgan Rogers, another pick I really, really, really like. As you can see, I've put the fixture as a grey against Newcastle. I think Newcastle's defence is okay. Um, and then same team in cons, I put it as a red because I think their attack's really, really good. Basically, me trying to say I don't think Conce is a great pick for the first week, but Rodgers I do think is a good pick because he's playing against a Newcastle defence that is okay, which is why it's a grey in there. But yeah, 7 million. I think he's a really, really standout pick. I think people are overlooking him an awful, awful lot. I think you should be very much considering him with them opening fixtures. I think either him or Ollie Watkins or both. People should be looking at more, and I don't think they're looking at him enough. But he's in my team. Cole Palmer, I think not much needs to be said on him. He's in a lot of people's team after the Club World Cup performance. Very good opening fixtures. He's my vice captain for the first week. Then in Die, I think a lot of people are picking him in the FPL space. Decent opening fixtures on penalties. That's the main reason he's in my team. He was the last pick in my team, and I had 6.5 million left in midfield, which is the reason I've gone for him. He could quite easily change, and I'll talk about a couple of replacements in a second. But moving on to the last midfielder in my team, and I think people need to be looking at this man. His data from last year is absolutely incredible, and I'll link a spreadsheet made by my friend below that you can have a look at, and I'll link his page where you can see him talking about it. But it is if you look at that, you want him in your team, and his data is absolutely incredible for expected goals. And especially starting the season, I think he'll start every game, and he'll be the main man, especially if Eze does leave. Yeah, he's definitely in my team. Standout option. Absolutely incredible. Other players I'm looking at, Dango, which I know a lot of you will be like, what? Dango from Bournemouth. Again, look at the spreadsheet. He is an incredible, incredible option. I don't think people realise how much he actually played last year, up front and on the left, anywhere across the front three. Yeah. Um, he's very much under my consideration, potentially for Ndai. At the minute, I have got Evan Nilsson. I don't know if I'd want to double up, um, but yeah, that's my midfielders. Um, Other players I'm thinking about, Bruno Fernandes. I really, really like Bruno Fernandes. I don't think people are giving him as much credit for his new ball recovery contribution, defensive contributions. He's going to be an absolute joke for it. Plus the penalties, plus the attacking returns, playing in a Man United team that I think has to improve. The only down draw is I think he could be playing a little bit deeper than he has in previous seasons. With the likes of, Mbeumo and Cunha coming in, I think there'll be the two men behind the striker playing, in them wide channels. And then Bruno Fernandes could potentially be a little bit deeper. So that's putting me off it at the minute. Um, they're the main midfielders I'm thinking about. So let's move on to the last two picks, the forwards, and two more penalty takers here. Danny Welbeck coming at a very, very good price at 6.5 million. João Pedro's moving on, Evan Nilsson's moving on. At the minute, he's going to be playing 90 minutes for Fulham. Sorry, for Brighton. Fulham first game, which I do think is a very good fixture for him. And yeah, we saw how well he did last year, scoring goals, creating goals. Absolute poacher. I think he's a very, very, very good option at 6.5 million. And Dominic Solanke, which if you do check out the spreadsheet, will say to not go for him. However, the opening fixtures he does have, Tottenham, I think, an improving team and a very template pick as well. So to save rank, I have put him in my team as it stands. I do think he is a good option. Should be on penalties as well if Son does move on. Even if he doesn't, I don't think Son will be getting many minutes. So Solanke should be on penalties for that. So as you can see in my team at the minute, I have Solanke, who's on penalties, Welbeck, who's on penalties, Salah, who's on work penalties, Palmer, who's on penalties, and Dye, who's on penalties. Rodgers could be on penalties, depending on Aston Villa. And Sarr probably not on penalties. Depends on what Eze does. You'd think Mateta would be on penalties if Eze does move on. But I have got a lot of penalty takers in my attack. Evan Nilsson as well on the bench has taken quite a few penalties for Bournemouth before. Having said they have not been the best penalties, so maybe it moves on to somebody else. But I've got a lot of penalty takers in this team, which I do like. It gives me another route to points, which I think you need. Um, yeah, other forwards I'm looking at. I think forwards are really tricky. Obviously, we already spoke a little bit about Watkins. I think he's a really good option. In at the big bucks at 9 million. Isak at 10.5. I think he's an okay option. If he stays at Newcastle, if he moves on to Liverpool, he could be an incredible option. Ekatike at 8.5. I think he could be a really, really good option. As well as his teammate Wirtz as coming in as a midfielder at 8.5 million. I think both of them could be really good options. I think they're both a wait and see how they play in pre-season. Um, Gyökeres, if he does sign for Arsenal, which has been, it looks like it's pretty much done as a recording. Um, I think he'll be coming at about 9.5, just more than Ekitike, just less than Isak. He could be a very good option, but again, we need to see how he's playing in pre-season. Is he starting, etc. So that's my team at the minute. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to be putting out another video later on, well, early this week, or early next week, sorry, about a bench boost. I am very, very highly considering a bench boost at the minute. This is my draft at the minute, though. And I do really like this team. It's got some very good depth in Evan Nilsson on the bench, which I think not a lot of people have. It's got two premium defenders with a rotating 4.5 option. It's got two premiums in Salah and Palmer. Mid-price midfielder Morgan Rogers, who I really like. Two cheap midfielders in Sarr and then Dye, and then a couple of mid-priced forwards in Solanke, Welbeck, and Evan Nilsson. So I do really like this draft. But yeah, I will be putting out a bench boost, reasons to bench boost, reasons not to bench boost, and I will be putting a draft in that as well for you guys to see. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment if there's anything else you'd like me to do in the lead to the pre-season, and please check out the description for the spreadsheet I'm going to link below and my friend's YouTube channel, who also is basically doing this journey with me. Thank you guys. See you later.